Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'd like to share a gentle reminder that there's more to life than working, and that there's a different journey ahead of you, better than anything that you're experiencing on the job right now. And so let me begin by stating the obvious. Number one, your job is coming to an end one day, one way or another. No matter how much you pour yourself into your career, how much you enjoy your job, how loyal you are to the company, one day your job will come to an end. You're going to retire. Your health is going to force you to step down. There could be a layoff, or you could simply be replaced by somebody half your age for half your wage. And when that day comes, when your job or career comes to an end, guess what else? The company just moves on. That's just reality, and that's the way that it works. And while we all know intuitively that our jobs are going to come to an end one day, there are some reasons why we seem to ignore this and it seems to fade into the distance. And one of the reasons that we lose sight of this reality is because society often equates our identity with our career. I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, I'm a skilled journeyman, I'm a factory worker, I'm a framer, I'm a carpenter. And when so much of our life is tied up in our work, it's hard to let go at any time. And then, of course, there's something called the golden handcuffs. When you get up into the peak earning years of your career, maybe you're in your upper 50s or early 60s, you got the steady paycheck, you're at the peak of your earnings, the wages are good, you've got a steady income, you have the benefits, you have a package. And all of these things combined together supports your current standard of living that makes leaving work feel virtually impossible. I mean, who wants to walk away from that kind of money? And the golden handcuffs keeps us trapped on the job sometimes. And another reason that we lose sight of this reality that our job is going to come to an end one day is simply because there is the comfort of the routine. Daily work becomes a habit. And that habit and the routine and the comfort of the routine causes us to just postpone the inevitable in making the hard decision. And we forget that there's more to do and there's more to life than what's going on inside the office. I want to tell you that there is a great big world out there with many roads that you can travel, and virtually all of them are better than anything that you're doing in the office right now. And just remember this, the real reason that you're working is so that one day you can gain financial independence and get out of the rat race or get away from the daily grind. The last thing that you want to do is stay on the job so long until your health fails, or even worse, you simply just drop dead on the job. And we've all heard those stories. I have a personal friend, is a woman about my age, and she's probably about 66 or 67, and she's a friend of mine and my wife. She's active, still attractive, and very healthy for her age. And in other words, she's at the peak of her golden years, and she works in a medical practice, and she's on the verge of a retirement, but the practice that she works at has talked her into staying there until she is 70 years old. Now, admittedly, she has a very important job, and what she does makes a lot of difference in people's lives. But they really poured on the guilt, and they said, we really need you to stay for a few more years. No one is as good as you. We could never find a replacement for you. If you leave us, it'll just leave us in a bind here. And you know, when somebody on the job, your employer, says that to you, it's really kind of flattering, because after all, you've worked hard and you've worked years to gain your level of expertise, and when they say something to the tune that you're irreplaceable, it's kind of flattering. But if the truth be told, the reason they want you to stay on is so that you can make their life easier. Not your life, but they want you to stay on so that you can make their life easier. And in the meantime, you are running out of time. We just don't have forever to live, and we need to get out while we still have time. So I'm hopeful that she will come around and not work until she's 70, if that's the only reason that she has decided to stay. She indicated she really wanted to step down, but they talked her into staying. Number two, a second gentle reminder that there's more to life than working is your job is not your life. It is simply a part of your life. Now, when you look at your life as a whole, it's kind of like peeling back the layers of an onion. Each layer represents a different part or a different aspect of your life. The more layers you peel back, the deeper down you go towards the center of who you really are. Things like our job titles and our career and our education and the letters beside our name, these are the layers on the surface of the onion. And who you really are is the person that's deep down at the center. And here's the point. When you take away all of the abrasive elements associated with work or your working career, most people revert back to their truer self or the person that they were always meant to be rather than what others expected them to be. It's almost like becoming a teenager again. I mean, when you just peel off all of those surface layers and you get back down to the core of who you really are and you feel liberated, it's almost like feeling like a teenager again. So let me encourage you. You are more than an employee and you're more than a job title. You are a spouse, a parent, a grandparent, a friend, a human being who has value on your own. You have dreams, hobbies, and passions, and that's where your real value is, and that is where your happiness is best found. And then number three, a third gentle reminder that there's more to life with work. It's important that we develop a life outside of work before the career comes to an end. Now myself, I think it's a good idea to have hobbies or interests or pursuits well in place before you retire so that you can have a seamless transition into your retirement life. Now I did that. When I was experiencing burnout on my job, but I was not in a position to retire yet, I began to embrace several new hobbies so that I could have something outside of the office to keep my mind engaged. And so I took up gardening, and I got very good at it very fast, and I now maintain a year-round garden here in North Florida. I did a deep dive into physical fitness, and man, I just enjoyed it so much that I ended up building a home gym in my shop out back and made a small investment in it because it was an investment in myself and an investment in my health. And since I live near the Gulf Coast, I took up saltwater fishing as a pastime, and I learned a whole new skill set by taking up saltwater fishing. I started hanging out at some of the local fishing hot spots, learned a new skill set, began to meet a whole new community of people that was outside of my office, none of it related to work. All of them were these old, crusty, salty fishermen. Just fantastic meeting these people. And it was so much fun to do a deep dive into these hobbies. And I enjoyed these hobbies so much that I began to think, you know, I could just do this full time. It would be wonderful to get paid to do this, because if I could get paid to do this, I would do this full time. And the more I enjoyed these hobbies, the more the idea of going back to work just made me sick, and I'm not kidding you. I knew then that I was done and I was ready to move on with my life. But then a few years later, I did retire because I was able to get myself financially in position to retire. And then when I did step down, my transition into my retirement life was seamless. These things were already in place, waiting for me when I walked out of my office and closed it for the last time on that final day. I think the people who struggle the most in retirement are those who never had a life outside of work. People who get bored in retirement just don't know how to do retirement. And what I'm trying to say is, don't wait until you retire to try to figure out who you are. Start developing your hobbies and your interests and your skills that have nothing to do with your work. In other words, develop a life outside of work, because this is where you're headed. One day, one way or another, it's coming to an end, and this is where you're headed, and you need to have a place to land when you jump that final time. You could volunteer, you could join clubs, you could take classes, or whatever. Or maybe, like me, you just look forward to a simple life of leisure, surrounded by nature, and enjoying yourself in the great outdoors. Create an identity that doesn't depend upon your paycheck. Create an interest for yourself and pursuits that doesn't require a paycheck, and your future self will thank you for it. The goal is to become a person who happens to work, not someone who gets their entire worth from work. Well, that's all for now. I'd like to thank you for stopping by. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and feel free to subscribe. And please leave me a comment and tell me how much you've enjoyed the video. I'm Ronnie. Take care, and we'll see you next time.